Dave Meltzer is spiraling in 2024, and if what he's saying about AEW's latest feud is true, which knowing Dave, it's probably not, but if it is, then AEW is spiraling even worse. Dave Meltzer is capping his ass off in 2024, and the Lying Observer newsletter continues to erupt in flames. We're less than 3 months into the new year, and Dave Meltzer has already had more retractions than the amount of hairs on David Vick's neck. Dave Meltzer just posted the dumbest tweet you'll ever see him post for a week, and it's gone stupid viral because of how stupid the tweet was. Dave Meltzer has done it again. The Michael Jordan of psych reporting has hit another brick in a week where he got multiple big stories wrong, all during a year where he's been as accurate as Olympic judging in gymnastics. Christian Cage exposed Dave Meltzer and his sheep voters as hypocrites in this year's Meaningless Wrestling Observer Awards. In fact, Christian broke the awards entirely. Now, I don't waste my time voting on these bullshit participation trophies. I'm more of a wolf than a sheep, but I do study them, and those who do vote embarrass themselves time and again, doing Meltzer's bidding, all while proving themselves to be every bit as hypocritical as aging Dave himself. Sling Blade Dave has stuttered and stammered his way through faulty reporting more times than ever this year. He's basically the Super Dave Osborne of wrestling news. And through, put it this way, through AEW's struggles, Super Dave Meltzer's brand of professional wrestling continues its violent disconnect with a mainstream audience during AEW's most important time. Subscribe in Swahili. Anytime any wrestler is asked about Meltzer's rating system, they scoff. It's like when a stranger asks a comedian to tell them a joke. I've got a joke for you. Why did the Meltzer cross the road? Because his in-home nurse left the door open. Here's a quick montage of some of the best professional wrestlers alive talking about the imaginary 5-star system.
You have a very rare 5-star rated match with Cole.
Don't get me started on the ratings.
I am much more concerned when I perform for WWE rather than one individual trying to grade me in the level of star.
Do you think you're as good as he thinks you are?
No, because like when you talk about guys like Kurt Angle and he hasn't got one 5-star match, I'm nowhere near the level of what Kurt Angle is.
I broke the scale. It fucked up something in his brain where he doesn't even know what good matches are.
Dave Meltzer's Twitter World Tour has reached batshit level red. They say once you pass 100,000 tweets, Elon Musk sends you a teal ankle bracelet to make sure you can stay your ass home. Dave's at 130,000, which means his blue check mark will be upgraded to a blue question mark to celebrate his midlife crisis. Congratulations, Sling Blade. I don't know whom to believe because both AEW and Dave Meltzer are unreliable narrators who are bleeding credibility by the second. It's like that movie Gone Girl, which also had 2 unreliable narrators. But now the only thing gone is half of AEW's demo. Khan basically learned wrestling through Meltzer's point of view, and he was even an Observer junior correspondent, like being a Boy Scout, but if you get badges for bullshit. Tony Khan was once a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like funding Jill Stein's campaign with CryptoZoo. This man used to be a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like getting rejected from the wrestling club and then trying to colonize it. Tony Khan doesn't book for the culture, he books for Dave Meltzer, who's more yogurt cultured. Remember, Tony Khan used to be a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like being in student government because you ran unopposed. I don't know if I've mentioned this on this channel before, but Tony Khan used to be a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like being a sideline reporter at a Ring of Honor show now. Khan isn't relatable. He grew up in a sheltered environment as the son of a billionaire. He spent most of his free time on a message board as a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like being the editor of a school newspaper and the school shooter. February is Black History Month, so here's every single word written this month in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. All 140,000 words. Let's see how many times this unbiased journalist with his unbiased agenda wrote about Black history. Let's try the word Black History Month. Nope. Black people? No. Black wrestler? No. African? Nope. Not one single solitary word about the culture during February. See, this is what marginalization looks like, by the way. But Dave is from a different time, so God forbid, let's try colored. No, thank God. Blacks? Negro? 9 times the Oh, he's talking about luchadors. He meant negro. Let's try Negroes. No. Darkies. What about niggas? Yeah, that better not be in the motherfucking Observer. So this man wrote over 140,000 words during Black History Month without once bothering to talk about Black history. Imagine trying to explain a 5-star feud between Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, and Dave Meltzer to your girlfriend. So there's this white, highly athletic wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling named Kenny Omega, and he's in a rivalry with this other white, highly athletic wrestler from New Japan Wrestling named Will Ospreay, and both wrestlers check pretty much the same boxes because they're mostly known for their wrestling ability with average charisma, no memorable promos, no seasoning, no grits, no collard greens, no sizzle, and zero relatability to anybody who doesn't appreciate the delicate nuances of the true sport of professional wrestling. And then there's this guy in his 60s from San Jose who grades matches based on a 5-star rating scale. And his grades have nothing to do with the build-up or storyline behind the match. It's only about the match itself and how hard these two oiled-up males can hit each other, how well executed their holds are, how many times they drop themselves on their heads, and being in the Tokyo Dome certainly helps too. Anyway, a 5-star match is considered a great match, and one day Kenny Omega broke that scale by having a 7-star match. But now Will Ospreay is considered the new Kenny Omega, and he just had a match that got 6.5 stars. No, honey, wake up, please wake up, stay with me. Okay, so Ospreay had a 6.5-star rating recently, and Kenny Omega got jealous because Kenny's now saying that Kenny broke the Dave Meltzer star ratings to the point where Dave no longer knows what he's talking about. And to settle this internet beef, Kenny is going to get into a fake fight against Will Ospreay to try to fix the star rating system once and for all. That's so relatable, right, babe? Babe, wake up! Why did you fall asleep again? This story is so relatable! OMG, did I just bore you into a coma? Last night's promo, last night's promo with Will Ospreay, it was just, to put it this way, it was just out of this world. AEW President Tony Khan was raised on the Wrestling Observer message boards. So much so he calls his laptop Uncle Mac. Khan and AEW haven't even been around for a decade, and already they have the second most 5-star matches as a promotion because Khan books for Dave Meltzer. AEW is essentially New Japan Pro white boys. Anytime people talk to me about wrestling, they either say A, they used to watch as a kid, or B, they just started watching it again. Either way, they always talk about the characters and storylines, never the wrestling itself, never the 5 stars. If I were to show them a picture of Dave Meltzer and ask if they knew who it was, they'd be like, yeah, I love Carl Childers. Despite his ratchet reporting, Dave Meltzer is not over and done. Meltzer is actually getting over by being pro wrestling's Rita Skeeter, even though R-Truth is more accurate than Dave Meltzer these days. He's just got, I put it this way, he's got so much charisma, and he's so, he's so charisma-y. His failures go so viral, they actually raise his profile as a bumbling journalist. That's literally his gimmick. He's Manti Te'o, but instead of having a fake girlfriend, he just makes up fake stories. Full disclosure, and as I've said many times on this app, I subscribe to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Dave Meltzer is wrestling's most venerable journalist, but that's like being a premier drill rapper in Flatlit, Kentucky. In the words of the OG Eric Bischoff, Dave is a useful idiot. One of Dave Meltzer's keys to more engagement, in addition to virally terrible reporting, is interacting with trolls on Twitter. Dave only picks fights he knows he can win, all to create the narrative and the lie that anybody who disagrees with Meltzer is a troll who doesn't read the Observer. Dave tells one troll after another on the Bird app, you don't read, and you don't read, and you don't read, and put it this way, you don't read the Observer? Feels like listening to Dave Meltzer try to get through a sentence. Well, put it this way, I don't know, I could come back for Dallas, but, I don't know. He don't want the smoke with subscribers who actually do read like me, but who are well versed in his and can slice him to pieces like any of the sentences he tries to put together when he talks. Meltzer said what is the best in the world at calling out all of Dave's screw-ups. Give them a follow. They're also a longtime subscriber, and guess what? Dave has him blocked. Dave has gone on record in saying he doesn't like fighting with other media people. Yes, Dave likes to take the high road by arguing with the deranged subredditors who are beneath him. At least I think they're beneath him. Because Dave refusing to feud with other wrestling media types is basically him saying he's intellectually inferior to his own peers and superiors and would rather fight with the hill people under the bridge that is internet Skid Row. But yeah, then there was this gem.
You know, poor people don't like AEW.
I don't want to say he's better than The Rock, but you know, but he is times 20. Dave Meltzer provides entertaining fakery and fuckery, if you'll pardon my Swahili. He's offering up trash content that allows him to fail upward. It's a faulty institution of lies from a well-connected reporter who writes stories that are disconnected from reality. It's really no different from any wrestling journalist in a climate littered with tribal cronyism. Get it how you live. Despite the confusing payoff of Tony, Nina, and Mariah sharing a three-way kiss, the five-star AEW press secretary strangled this match with praise the way Lenny, the slow adult from Of Mice and Men, strangled that wild rabbit he liked too much. Aging Dave Meltzer was jumped for another dumb take on the Bird app. With over 130,000 tweets, that's crazy, and thousands of bad takes, Dave has the highest bad take to tweet ratio on the entire South African Bird app. Dave Meltzer actually used the deflating payoff of Tony Storm versus Mina Shirakawa as a hill to die on to demonstrate AEW's great storytelling. That ending, which you can see just as easily by walking through a beaded curtain, is AEW's brilliant storytelling at work? No, David, it isn't. And that's not just me talking. That's the QTs and the replies talking. But Twitter isn't a real place. Having said that, YouTube, which is a very real place, just ask my bank account, has no shortage of comments that do not with Dave Meltzer. Quote, every time Dave Meltzer says something about AEW, it really just confirms to everyone that Dave Meltzer does not even have the slightest clue about what a story is. Quote, the problem I've watched with Dave Meltzer is that he will praise AEW's storylines, but then refuses or just plain can't explain what the storyline actually is. Quote, Dave doesn't want to lose his access because nobody else wants to deal with him anymore. And finally this one, which says Dave and Tony make people hate AEW, which came from Dave's own grandmother. I know, that's crazy. Even the alleged grandmother of the sandpaper-faced stuttering machine doesn't fuck with him. Even if you were to go to Dave's own comment section, those motherfuckers won't support him. Here's a comment from a recent rant about AEW's low ratings from Observer's YouTube channel. A video disliked over 1,200 times. I came for the excuses, wasn't disappointed. Even if you were to touch grass and find opinions IRL, Brian Alvarez, AEW Vice Press Secretary and Dave's Mini-Me, couldn't defend the storyline.
The story of, like, all of this, I know, but this has not been my favorite story.
This ending had all the aura of the type of guy who brings a decibel counter to a wrestling show. But it was enough to convince Sling Blade Dave Meltzer that AEW has great storytelling.
I mean, it just,
I know we're in March, but promo of the year, that has to be promo of the year. I put it this way, it just has to be promo of the year. And nobody, nobody knows more than me when it comes to, Christian Cage dazzled in 2023 with one promo after another exploiting real-life deaths. The type of exploitation of death that has won 6 different Observer Awards for most disgusting promotional tactic. Yet not only did Christian not win the award, he wasn't even an honorable mention. He didn't even appear in the others receiving votes category. In fact, despite openly mocking real-life deaths, not only was this not considered disgusting by the Lemmings Observer newsletter, Christian almost won Best Gimmick. I repeat, Christian Cage almost won a fake Observer Award for making light of real-life death. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or just laugh when somebody dies, because apparently that's cool now. The uppity Observer audience has established a precedent for denigrating these types of promos as disgusting as recently as 2015. Now all of a sudden, Christian Cage, cutting more dead dad promos than anybody in history, gets the second most votes for Best Gimmick because what? The Observer audience is blindly loyal to AEW and thinks Tony Khan will pay for their sleep apnea machines? Dishonest Dave saw a message board post estimating AEW's value at over $288 million. He got so lubricated with excitement that he didn't even bother to check any sources or vet the number. He just ran with it the way he runs to confrontation with deranged Twitter trolls. Turns out the post came from some random fan with too much time on their hands and probably way too many restraining orders to have a dating life. Dave then ran with this Discord estimate like it was the Lord's Prayer and reported it as an internal memo from WBD. Once again, Dave became a laughingstock. Desperate Dave Meltzer deeply wants to be celebrated as a credible journalist who has no dog in the tribal wrestling wars. He's just a fair and honest reporter trying to do Walter Cronkite proud. Even though Dave's doled out more 5-star ratings to AEW matches in 5 years than he did to WWE in 70. Even though Tony Khan books his product to Dave's liking and Sling Blade Dave is constantly mentioned on AEW TV. Even though Tony Khan is Dave Meltzer's apprentice. Don't ever believe people like Dave Meltzer who want you to think they're just fair and balanced journalists. There's no such thing. That's like saying you're a cop who treats blacks as equal to the whites. Dave may have the personality of a robot, but at the end of the day, Dave is just a human being who is prone to the same human biases as us all. Unfortunately, Dave's bias has caused him to go off the deep end by simping for Tony Khan with inaccurate reports of an internal memo. Even Dave's little buddy WrestleNomics had to issue a public correction to Dave's message board monologue. Here's a quick clip. Please don't fall asleep.
Just to correct, I think, what's happening here. I have pointed this out.
Okay, wake up. That's right. Oops, Dave did it again. He made you believe in his bullshit journalism. Oh, Davey. Nobody knows more than me when it comes to when it comes to talking. This is a man who prides himself on all these awards he wins for wrestling journalism, which tells you everything you need to know about the low bar that is wrestling journalism. I'll bet the people who give out awards for wrestling journalism are the same people who give awards for bravery among cats, or integrity awards for politicians, or black community awards to the police. Oh my God, what's this? You guys, I just won an award in wrestling journalism and I didn't even do shit. Thank you, Cauliflower Alley. You shouldn't have. Better call it Cauliflower Alfie. I have a couple of movies to do in the Tokyo Dome in Japan. So, put it this way. The LA might work, but it might not. But for WrestleMania main event, put it this way. If I don't have any movie obligation, maybe I can do LA. Maybe I can't. I'm not saying I can headline LA, but I'm not saying I can't. But how about this? Put it this way. Maybe I could headline Philly, depending on the writer's strike. This nigga's starting to sound like Dwayne Meltzer. Dave's shit reporting came during the same week where he inaccurately reported Offa's death and had to apologize on air.
Yeah, I want to apologize, because I had mentioned it yesterday when essentially, I don't want to get into big excuses, but, I had been told when I woke up yesterday, I saw the post from Samula, and other people, and saw that as he died, which in fact he was still alive at the time.
Wow.
One of Dave's many catchphrases, in addition to, put it this way, is "you don't read." No, Dave, clearly you didn't read. You confused a message board post for an internal memo from WBD. Dave Meltzer's faulty reporting is getting so hilariously bad, it's technically entertainment at this point. Like, how bad can this get? Dave admitted defeat by taking down his BS post about an internal memo and vowing to be back when AEW announces its new television deal, which is another story Dave will probably get wrong. Talking about, I apologize for reporting that, put it this way, I apologize for saying that, Tony Khan and AEW signed a $10 billion deal with WBD. I don't know what happened with that report, but, I'll try to do better. So let's go to our 2024 scorecard of Dave Meltzer fuck-ups. Dave claimed Okada to AEW wasn't confirmed, only to report it had been in the works for months. He was worked by Hangman Adam Page when he reported Page's ankle injury could be legit. He misreported that Tommy Dreamer was head of TNA Creative. Dave incorrectly reported WWE on Fox would be in lame duck mode. And not only did they load up the shows with The Rock during WrestleMania season, SmackDown has Stone Cold and The Rock, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on the same damn show. Does that sound like lame duck booking to you? Dave Meltzer lied on Mike Johnson being denied access to WWE press conferences, which who gives a shit what member of the make-believe wrestling media gets to attend a make-believe WWE press conference? It's not that serious. Touch grass. Dave was wrong about WWE keeping Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns apart because Jacob Fatu just returned on SmackDown and murked the OTC. Dave lied about Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins being the main event for Money in the Bank. Dave misreported Offa's death. He was wrong about WBD having an internal memo about AEW. He lied about Jack Perry apologizing to Tony Khan about his behavior, and then he hilariously confused the 2013 segment between The Rock and Triple H with their 2024 storyline before WrestleMania 40. If Dave was black, like if this was Damon Meltzer doing all these fuck-ups, his black ass would have been gone. Dave better thank his lucky 5 stars for all that privilege. Dave Meltzer is to journalism what James Ellsworth is to winning. The fact that Meltzer is able to keep his job despite getting shit wrong on the daily is more proof that nobody gives a shit about journalism anymore. This country is just too divided to know or care who or what an actual journalist is. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but we're in a tribal era where everybody has their own set of facts that they choose to believe. Those who pride themselves as self-righteous reporters either have 10 people watching their live streams, or their asses get worked on a message board and forced into a retraction like dipshit Dave. Yay, journalisms! A journalist is just a writer with no personality. And if you're Dave Meltzer, you don't have a personality or credibility. It's been a rough year for Dave Meltzer already. As Dave gets older, it won't get any better. From now on, anytime Dave says he has a report, I'm just gonna sit back with popcorn and Reese's Pieces and enjoy the show. Because that's all any Dave Meltzer report is these days. Bullshit tailor-made for a message board. I'm Dave Meltzer, and of course, put it this way, of course, one second. I'm Dave Meltzer, and of course, put it this way, of course, hold on. Get my notes. I'm Dave Meltzer, and of course, where are you going, Osprey? This comes after AEW press secretary Dave Meltzer advised Team Tony to do just that as AEW's popularity shrinks the more Meltzerian the promotion becomes.
My new idea on what they should do, book 2,500 seat buildings.
Of course they need to move the smaller buildings. Look around. Midlife Meltzer is trying to spin it like some innovative idea to make their shows look hot. But this is just a matter of economics. And now it's time for a game of Are You Dumber Than a Star Rating? Today's guest is Dave Meltzer, who likes wrestling but loves football. In fact, his favorite quarterback is
Patrick Mahomes was on the shows. When the show started, it was Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, I mean, he is the biggest star, or at least biggest sports star, because Patrick Mahomes was a total heel on the show. That's why Patrick Mahomes was there. Because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes.
And Mahomes has his 3 Super Bowl rings on.
Braun was going to attack Mahomes.
one of my favorite parts of this whole TV deal saga is Dave Meltzer staking what's left of his reputation to AEW limping its way to a TV deal. Even after the whole internal memo debacle, Dave posted to his incel message board like, AEW's gonna get a great TV deal, you'll see. Nick, and what does that have to do with Dave Meltzer being the pro wrestling version of InfoWars? Sling Blade Dave has one job, to uncharismatically report the news, and he spent 2024 screwing up that job by getting more stories wrong than public schools that banned the 1619 Project. No, David, you were not ahead of the curve by predicting that AEW was gonna get more money from a desperate WBD. Anybody could have told you that. Between you and me, I recorded this video about AEW's TV deal months ago, which will explain the kind of dated Bryan Danielson references you're about to hear. Nobody is surprised AEW got paid by WB Desperate. And watching Dave Meltzer celebrate AEW's TV deal like he had anything to do with it is like watching the backup long snapper for the Jaguars talking trash after winning a division title.
Dave Meltzer is the Porky Pig of pro wrestling. He stuttered his way through a wrestling media career with an impressive resume of 100,000 500,000 1.2 million co-host interruptions, 2.3 billion interactions with trolls, and so many retractions that number hasn't even been invented yet. Despite using his message board as a safe space for Tony Khan, Dave Meltzer was passed up for his dream job as Tony Khan's assistant scheduler in 2023. But with AEW's budget increase, Dave Meltzer's 5 years of glazing might pay off after all. Meltzer's influence on Tony Khan has led to an influx of random internet darlings at the top of the card, an AEW creative that comes second to moves and super workers. As a result, casual viewers nationwide have been inspired to change their channels and even turn off their TVs. In 2024, wrestling fans getting fresh air is at an all-time high on Wednesday nights. Dave Meltzer has a star ratings plan that'll triple 5-star matches for AEW, thereby reducing viewership by 50%, increasing excuses by 80%, and moving the whole product to 2,500-seat buildings. By the end of 2025, AEW live shows will take place for an audience of 1 in San Jose, California, in Dave Meltzer's dungeon, with AEW media freakoffs for Tony Khan's favorite podcasters. And if you don't like that, it's because you don't read, you don't learn, and you just don't study. So study these nuts and vote Dave Meltzer for AEW Head of Creative.
People don't actually understand how low Dave Meltzer will go to protect AEW. The fake reporter / stuttering sicko talked Dutch Mantel's battle with sepsis, only to gush about Tony Khan and Chris Jericho publicly donating to Dutch's GoFundMe despite evil Dutch daring to criticize Tony Khan and AEW.
Using Dutch Mantel's terrible health issues to score points in your own mind to further grind the axe, it's just the most pathetic, weaselly, fucking sad, sorry state of affairs.
Jim Cornette donated to Dutch too, but that wasn't in the report. Why? Because Jimmy made fun of divorceable Dave for loving message boards and trains more than his ex-wife, and now is pursuing a second marriage with Tony Khan? Fuck out of here.
Here's some free advice for Tony if he wants it. He needs to cut off Dave Meltzer completely.
Marriage-ending message board Meltzer is madly in love with Mr. Khan, and he was on his deathbed. Then the unthinkable happened because Dutch Mantel responded to Dave Meltzer's ass trash article about his GoFundMe.
But that kind of pissed me off. You can knock me, Dave, but you're knocking my family now. And that is a no-no almost in any business. I almost died. My wife almost died. I would just like to walk up on Meltzer and just slap the dog out of him.
Dutch has more than 50 followers, so it's unlikely Dave will respond. But if Dirty Dutch slapped the shit out of Dirty Little Dave and needed to raise money for lawyers, would Tony Khan and Chris Jericho publicly donate to the cause after Dave Meltzer did it again and again? The stuttering sicko spent another whole weekend screwing up stories, and I'm having trouble keeping up because honestly, this so-called reporter is on a Hall of Fame run of fuck-ups. First, Dave reported that Nielsen has put an end to Fast Nationals, as if a global media data company has a vested interest in protecting AEW Twitter crybabies from preliminary numbers. The Fast 90s came out this weekend anyway, and Rampage was projected to do its lowest number ever. And guess what? Rampage ended up doing its lowest number ever. The .05 rating is pretty close to the numbers Rampage will be doing come 2025 when the show gets canceled. Dupable Dave then posted a fake story about WWE running Backlash at the Tokyo Dome. only to get backlash for saying Backlash will be at the Tokyo Dome. Nope. Stay tuned for my top 10 Meltzer mistakes of 2024. It's going to be hard cutting it down to just 10 because